So in the immediate term, obviously recovery, and there's two sides to that. One is getting back to where we were before the floods, where we were, if you go back 10 years ago, a very strong role in the region, in health, in education. The university was much larger. Obviously we have the flood, we're rebuilding from the flood. That is a task in its own right. We need to make sure that that doesn't displace other activity, particularly as it relates to housing and workers. So in the short term, it's getting back to what Lismore was. And then in the second half of that period, from years 5 to 10, probably looking more future focused. What do we need to service Lismore for the next 10 years beyond that? It's under enormous stress. If I could point to a couple of drivers of that stress. So in the short term, rebuild, if we do need to import workers for the rebuild, they need to stay somewhere. We have a number of people who've been displaced. They need to stay somewhere until they're able to be rehomed. We've got an older population in some of the employment sectors that are likely to retire over the next 10 years. So think of a nurse or a teacher who's in their late 50s or early 60s. Over the next 10 years, there's a reasonable chance they'll retire. We need to replace them in the workforce. So another worker, be it someone who's grown up here and studied here or someone who's moved here. So you've got multiple drivers for the need for accommodation. You've also got work from home. So some people are able to work from home, which means that they're using what was a bedroom for an office. So there's less people in the housing stock that we have. Housing is critical to the economy. It's not just about accommodating who lives here. It's critical to getting the workers we need. And also potentially an industry in its own right. There's an opportunity to refit houses, retrofit houses, build new houses. The two are intrinsically linked. The university is critical to the future of Lismore. It's an anchor institution. The connection between the university and the hospital is very special. It's quite rare to have those assets in your city. The university itself is land rich, so it has the ability to do things on its own land as an investor, but also to program, working with government and industry to program what training and research they pursue, including jointly developing innovation. So it's not just a training factory for certificates. A university can say, here are the issues that we have in our area. Let's apply new research, new thinking, leverage global networks. So I think the future of Lismore will be driven by a collaborative investment scheme with the university. Government university, health university, industry university. It has to be part of the way we move forward. So if I could introduce another term as well as a baseline, the isolated impact, which would be multiple well-meaning groups investing in things for their purpose. So an isolated impact model for the university could be, we're going to deliver courses for this cohort, we're going to target international students, we're going to get our seats, get our revenue, run the business. For health, it could be, we have to find talent for Tweed Hospital because it's a new hospital. Let's focus on that. Noting that there are connections with all of these things. For council, it could be, we've got lots of things to do. We don't know what to focus on. We don't know really how to leverage the investment of the hospital and the university, but we know they're doing it. So we'll regulate them. We'll review their planning permissions. We'll engage with them on a case-by-case basis. Now, if you bring those three actors together and you say, well, how about we have a vision of well-being for the people of Lismore that is leveraging health investment that needs talent, then you can say, right, well, how does the university attract, teach, develop research for health in Lismore, not just in the Tweed, in a regional context? It's really about having that shared vision and then sharing information so that people can make decisions and leverage each other's decision. So it's all about communication, all about evidence and data, and that reinforcing activity, making sure that each actor is able to leverage the investments of other actors. So you get more bang for buck. leveraging everything that's here. There's a lot that's still on the table. So from a people perspective, there's this amazing grit and culture. It's a very diverse community, but it's a community that does things, and being able to leverage that human element for people. Then we've got, it's been bigger in the past. It's got infrastructure. I mentioned the university, but there's still a whole bunch of shop fronts that are not activated. There are assets regionally, like airports, that we could connect to better. Obviously, Lismore has its own airport, but if we organise ourselves with a common vision, we should be able to get all of these parts to work for the people of Lismore and the Northern Rivers.